Okay. I'm all set to whip up a program that will send a stream of third energy into the vortex.
I'll keep an eye on the doctor. Regina, you go find those devices and overload the third energy. Remember, they're in a security level A room on floor B3.
Hold up. That whole floor is crawling with dinosaurs, including that T-Rex. Let's get this situation under control before charging off. Here, take this. The disk contains the draft plans for the initializer and stabilizer. I stumbled over them while searching through the database. Fortunately, the room where the parts are stored is not far from here. We should gather up the parts and assemble the devices.
Don't be ridiculous. Regina doesn't have the technical knowledge for that. We don't even know if all the right parts are there. We'd be better off simply trying to hunt down the completed devices.
It's too dangerous down there. She won't make it!
It's your call then, Regina. You're the one who has to do this. So what's your choice?
So Gale thinks I'm too stupid, and Rick thinks I'm too much of a wimp. Well, we're gonna go with Rick's strategy, because that's actually the more interesting one.
It's your show, girl. I just hope you know what you're doing.
Do whatever you want. Just don't fail.
We got a planning disk from that. This is what we need to build the parts. I find it funny though that Regina was still in the pose when she picked up the disc. Rick hands her the disc and she grabs it and just holds it in front of her face, and she stays like that while Rick goes off, and then Gale talks to Regina. So she's just kind of staring intently at the disc for like a good 5-10 seconds. Before we do anything though, it's important to go to this room where Gale and Dr. Kirk are standing completely motionless. No animation whatsoever.
What are you still doing here? Go get those devices.
Did you find those devices yet?
I like Dr. Kirk's voice acting, but probably for all the wrong reasons. Anyway, if you remember, there was a journal earlier that had Dr. Kirk's sort of personal ID number, but we need his fingerprint data to make his ID card, so we're just going to take his fingerprint right here and now. The only problem is the game seems to be a bit finicky as to where you can actually get his fingerprint. You have to stand in a position, and it's not... Normally it's like to the side or something. For some... I don't know, the game seems a bit iffy on where you stand, but eventually you just use the fingerprint device, and then Regina goes down on Dr. Kirk and then gets all his data. There we go, all done. So you might not actually think to do that. You might not just think, okay, I'll just take the fingerprint data off Dr. Kirk, because we've never actually taken a fingerprint off a live person before. And, you know, you might think, why would Dr. Kirk just let us take his fingerprints? I mean, okay, he's being held at gunpoint, but, you know, it just seems like a bit of a weird thing to do. There is another way of getting Dr. Kirk's fingerprint data. The handprint on this keypad that's been opened after that scientist gets killed, that's actually Dr. Kirk's handprint, so you can use the bloodstain as a way of recording his fingerprint. So you just use the machine on that, and you have Dr. Kirk's handprint. So you might be thinking, how did Dr. Kirk's hand get covered with blood? And why isn't he bloody a few seconds later when you meet him down the corridor? And honestly, I haven't the faintest idea. We really need some crime scene investigators here. So besides Gale is a document written by Dr. Kirk himself, talking about the third energy overload thingamajig. Once it reaches critical point, it goes into overload. When this happens, we can't control it. The huge amount of energy creates chain reactions and begins to disintegrate the surrounding air. The ensuing explosion will vaporize anything in the near vicinity. If we could control the area where the overload occurs, the third energy will literally become the ultimate weapon. The power of the weapon depends on how much energy we can restrain before the explosion occurs. In other words, the capability of the stabilizer is the key to everything. The third energy was supposed to be the project of the development policy, create the basic power source for the permanently stationed weapon. If we change the policy of the project here and now, this government will be able to obtain the most deadly destructive device in the world. However, our current budget is completely out of the question. You'll find my estimate of the budget in the next chapter. Please review and consider. So there we have it. That's why the military is so interested in this technology, because it's a... well, it could potentially be an explosive weapon. A huge bomb. Something extremely deadly. There's not really much here. If you examine any of the boxes, it just says Dr. Kirk's personal belongings, and there's not really anything in there. Let's just get out back into Kirk's personal lab. I just noticed the "Don't bother me" sign. That's a nice touch. There's a notice from the staff. This is instructions on how to build the initializer and stabilizer. This is actually something I guess we need to know. There's actually each part, the stabilizer and the initializer, consist of 3 parts each, which means we have to collect 6 parts in total. And then it tells us where we can find these parts, and then where we can put them together. And we have to use something called the weightless manipulator. And we need a level A class security clearance, which luckily we just got, so we're perfectly fine with that. Some coffee cups. I always thought they were pot noodles for some reason, but no, I think they're just cups of coffee. It's just kind of a messy lab environment, so let's just mosey on out of here. We can unlock this door first. This leads back. That door leads directly to the 3rd energy generator room, but we don't need to go there just yet. We need to go to well, find all the. Oh, hello, an alternator. In a cramped place like this, there's really no way of running around it, so you have to kind of fight it, or in my case, just tranquilize it. So let's continue running through. Now, I think I made a wrong turn, because this is actually the longer way to where we're supposed to get to, so I'm just going to fast forward through all this, and I think I probably should have taken that door that was unlocked, because I just end up back at the power generator anyway, but no biggie, we get there eventually. In this room, another Ultra Raptor has spawned. We're just going to tranquilize him. Seems like the most easiest way to deal with Ultra Raptors. Again, actually fighting them consumes a lot of ammo, so yeah. So this is part storage. You won't remember there was a level A security door here, which we can now enter because we have the card. Before we do that, though, we're going to go back to the security room, because now we have both. Well, now we have Dr. Kirk's ID card, and hopefully you've remembered his personal ID number that was written in that journal next to the dead scientist. We have to go to the computer and overwrite his data. And of course you remember how this works. You put in the ID card you've been using. I don't know what I'm doing looking at this, I've already used it. You put in the ID card you've been using, and then use the fingerprint device. There we go. Yeah, it is kind of annoying that if you do forget, you have to go all the way back to that dead scientist. So that's why I always advise keeping games like this, you kind of have to have a notepad ready, just in case. So once we have Dr. Kirk's ID card, we basically have access to most of the facility now. In fact, if we wanted to, we could use the elevator that inside the control room of the generator, and we can actually go back to the F1 floor in case we've missed anything there. So, you know, we can go back to the start of the game if we wanted to. And, you know, it's a good way of going back and opening up any of the supply boxes you haven't unlocked yet. So, yeah. There's no need to go back there, obviously, but, you know, just in case. I'm just going to equip these shotgun bullets, because I've used up all my tranq rounds. And yet, despite the fact that I've run out of, you know, tranq darts, I still have loads of anesthetic aids, so this is a file. This is the exact same file as the one in Dr. Kirk's personal lab, just how to assemble it, so you won't read that again. Over here's a control panel. First, let's take a look at this one. Nothing much there. So in order to use this, we have to use the planning disk, the disk that Rick gave us. If you choose to go with Gale's option, you won't get the disk, so you can't use this device. I guess we need to know a password. It's a weird way of putting a password there. You have to put directions. Oh well, never mind. I guess we don't know the password just yet. Let's see what else is in this room. A safe with something inside. Well, I guess we can't get to it. There's a shelf here, let's just push it. This is one of the pushable shelves, I saw this in the control room. And, oh, there's something behind it. And an item. A plug! Great. I think we have quite a few plugs now. We have, yeah, we can probably open up a good few boxes. Anyway, this blinking light turns out to be a wiretapping device.
My only concern regarding the new generator is the stabilizer. It functions perfectly under nominal conditions, but it's still a problem under certain conditions. Look, with the generous budget, personnel, and facilities at your disposal, shouldn't you be able to solve that problem? Once complete control can be established, we will literally have the power of a god at our disposal. And it will all be attainable if you cooperate with me. The power of a god. How could I refuse?
The right to be a god. That right is now mine. So, the bleepy bloopy sounds is of course the combination you have to actually use on this. The way it works is this. Different colours make different beepy noises. So you basically have to decipher which colours mean what. Like the blue is the bleep, and the yellow is like bloop, and you know, you just figure that out. And then you basically work out a sequence of colours you have to move to from the sound at the end of that recording. If you forget, you can always go back to the wiretapping device and listen to it again. You have to listen to all the dialogue though. So once you figure out what means, then you open the thing and you get 2 parts. Fantastic, we're a third of the way there already. There we go. A core part. And another core part. Yeah, we're pretty much done in this room. None of these other safes open up. It's not functioning apparently, I guess it's broken. But there's one more thing over in this corner. There's an upgrade for our grenade launcher. It turns out to be an entirely new cylinder, I guess, so let's just upgrade our grenade launcher. And what this does is it basically allows us to fire continuously without reloading. It basically, because normally you have to reload a grenade per shot. This time it's so that you only have to reload after every 3 shots. Doesn't look much different honestly, but hey, it's an upgrade. Just means less reloading. Now I mentioned before that you don't have to reload your weapons ever, and this turned out to be a huge lie. There are actually, you know, magazine sizes for weapons. It's just it's not displayed in. It's not like in Resident Evil where it's displayed how much ammo you have in the gun. The rough guide on how you have to reload is how the item stacks in your inventory. For example, grenades only stack in groups of 3, so you have to reload for every 3 shots. The exception to this is shotguns. They stack up in groups of 10, but you have to reload after every 6 shots, so it's kind of confusing. And oh, well, this could be a problem. We have 2 Ultra Raptors in this room, and they're both blocking the way we have to go. We can't really run past them like this, not like last time. Although this is a little strange, because normally the game would put dinosaurs munching like this over dead bodies in the room. But there are no dead bodies in this room, so they're not eating anything. Well, I guess judging by the crunching sounds, they're busy eating apples, I guess. That's probably why there's no dead body. I mean, it's good that these raptors know the importance of fruits and vegetables. I mean, you know, an apple a day keeps the doctor away and all that. Unfortunately for them, though, one thing that apples don't keep away are incendiary grenades. So let's try those out. Heat bullets for our new and improved grenade launcher. Incendiary rounds actually have a spread shot, and luckily for us, both these dinosaurs are in the perfect position. Awesome. Now the whole spread shot thing with incendiary grenades means they're kinda situational, but you'll warm up to it. Now I've killed plenty of dinosaurs already, and I know that that one's not dead yet, so we've got to finish him off, and now I have some 40 S&W bullets to do the trick. Now, I didn't actually know until recently that S&W stands for Smith & Wesson, the arms manufacturer. So I guess, I don't know, they make pretty cool bullets or something. They're more powerful than the regular 9mm Parabellum bullets, so that's good. Oh, and speaking of which, don't even bother using the regular 9mm pistol ammo on those Ultra Raptors. They will consume basically like more than an entire clip. It's not worth it. So in this room we'll find another couple of parts. Let's see what we have. Yep, another computer that needs the planning disk. Let's shove it in there. Now, of course, it's not quite as simple as that. We need a password. Let's figure out. Maybe this has the password in it. Those who attend the activation of the generator for the first time in tonight's experiment should remember the following procedures. We need the initializer and stabilizer. Stabilizer, blah, blah. This isn't really important. What is important is this. If you split the numbers that you use when obtaining the core parts and add 0 to each of the split numbers, then you will have the password you need for each one of these bits. So if you remember, the password for the room earlier with the bleep bleep bloop room, that was 367204 or something like that. What you're supposed to do is split them up, and then you'll have two 3-digit numbers, and then you add 0 to the front of them, not the back, the front of them, and you will have the codes for each of the parts in this room. It took me a while to figure this out because I completely forgot about this puzzle. And yeah, so I'm just gonna put in the password here. 0367. There we go. Of course, I'm always amused how something that's as big as Regina herself, she just carries around with her. And of course, this is a key item as well, so it doesn't actually take up space in our main inventory. So we don't have to make space for it or anything. It just goes somewhere. It's not like something small, like a key that goes in a pocket. No, this is like a huge thing, and we just put it in the same place we put all our key cards and stuff. Well, you know, I'm not complaining. You know, it's better than that bit in Resident Evil 1 where you had to carry the fuel capsule or whatever it was, and you weren't allowed to run, otherwise it would blow up and kill you. Oh, there we go. Protect part. So that means we have 5 parts altogether. We have just one more to get. Luckily, it's in the room we have to go to. Let's head on over. While we're going, it's time for another Dino fact. It used to be thought that the sauropods, like Diplodocus, had a second brain. Paleontologists now realize that what they thought was a second brain was an enlargement in the spinal cord in the hip area. Man, a second brain in your butt. Who'd have thought? Now, I'm just going to do some inventory management here, but there's also something I want to show off. You see, I recently picked up a health pack in Dr. Kirk's personal lab, and we also have a couple of multipliers, and I just want to show you that multipliers are actually pretty good because, well, you can turn one med pack into many. So here we have 1, mix it with a multiplier, and then we have 2, and that seems logical enough. So we're just going to use the intensifier, and that turns a medpack M into a medpack L. Not L++, mind you, and medpack Ls can be multiplied further. But here's the interesting thing. The multiplier works on the stack of 2 as one item, so the 2 multiplied into 4. So from that 1, we got 4 extra medpacks. So you might have noticed that we have medpack L and medpack L++, both of which do exactly the same thing. They're full heals and they stop bleeding. The only difference is that L++ can't be multiplied again, and you might be wondering what's the point in ever making L++. L++ is what happens when you combine a medpack with a recovery aid rather than an intensifier. And a recovery aid also gives you 1 extra medpack, so it's kind of like a recovery aid is basically an intensifier and a multiplier combined into one item. So it's not quite as good as using a multiplier and an intensifier as separate items, but it gets the job done, and Honestly, I don't think you care missing out on one medpack. This is the memory we got from that dead woman. This is code for this cabinet we couldn't open earlier. Let's put in the code and see what we get. This one's actually a pretty good item. It's another upgrade for our shotgun. It turns it into a Spaz 12. So let's do that right now. What the Spaz 12 shotgun does is basically increased rate of fire, I think, and also more power, I think? Not so much damage, because I think that's more related to the ammo you use. In stopping power, it means like the chance it would flinch dinosaurs, or like how much it pushes them back. So that's good. Shotguns are actually really good against Dinosaurs, because you shoot them about mid-range and they can't really do much because they keep flinching. But for now, let's see what's in this room, now that we have a level A security card. So this is where the magic happens. This is where we have to assemble our stabilizer and initializer. Although we're still missing a part, but luckily there's a part right here. Nothing in these shelves though. Let's head on over. Now this is the assembly machine. Uses a weightless environment. We'll be seeing that in a moment. It's actually kind of interesting. Just trying to figure out where the part is. It's somewhere in this room. Not in the computer. Oh, there it is. It's the thing that's rotating. Now, I'm trying to figure out how to get to it. I didn't realise you could just, like, just use the key on the box. I thought it would be like a computer terminal or something. No key card either. No key code, rather, either. You don't have to remember a password or anything. They just give it to you. So here it is. The last part we need. We have all 6 parts. So now all that's left is to assemble them. So let's use this big thing in the middle here. Let's see if I can get in there. It's with tank controls. In order to use it, we just go into our inventory and use one of the parts we have, and it'll just use up all of the parts, I guess. There we go. And here we have an interesting puzzle, if you can call it that. Assemble a stabilizer. What am I... No. Oh, something's coming towards it. What do I do? What? Oops. Doi. Just a little face palm that Regina does. Okay, so what you're actually supposed to do is you just rotate the parts so that they're in the correct angle as the part slowly drifts towards it. So you just point it onwards, I guess, and then have the other part point towards it. It's not, you don't have to be too precise, you just follow the green line, and yeah, it's pretty easy actually. For some reason there's like a timer in the top, although it's not like you can do it slow. If you mess up once, it makes you restart it, so there we go. Same thing again. Now, what was it that Gale said? Don't be ridiculous. Regina doesn't have the technical know-how to do this. Or something like that. Well, this turns out to be completely easy. All these researchers and their PhDs and doctorates. Pfft. Computer does all the work. Yeah, we have the stabilizer. Where's the other part? Oh. We have to wait for the thing to come again. Gotta wait for this animation. Ta-da! Here's your initializer. Okay, so now we have both the parts we need to activate the third energy generator. So let's head back to the control room. Now, on the way back, I did notice something very peculiar. If you remember on the way out of here, there was that Ultraraptor and I tranquilized him. Apparently, the tranquilizer is still in effect. Okay, that's a bit strange, I thought. Normally it would have worn off by now, I was out for ages, but whatever, I'm not complaining. But then as I walked towards here, I realized, you know, maybe I should save. So I realized that the next save room was actually behind me, so I decided to go all the way back, and, well, he's still there. I was actually worried that it might have worn off at this point. Still asleep. Alright, so let's just go back to the save room. So I was thinking, you know, by the time I go here and then come back, the anesthetic must have worn off, right? I mean, you can see how long the game time is at the moment, and the game actually does record time while you're in menus and stuff, not while you pause, but while you're in menus, so I figured time still passes when you're in those menus. But despite all that, the raptor's still asleep. Huh. Oh, I guess maybe he's just really, really tired or something. Oh, now it wears off. Well, that's a little strange, because I swear anesthetic wears off a lot quicker than that. So I decided to test it by shooting this dinosaur 2 different times, and timing how long it takes for the anesthetic to wear off. Now, using upgraded tranquilizer darts, it takes about 30 seconds, give or take, for the dinosaurs to get up. There's a little bit of variation programmed into it. But, you know, I was out of that room for way more than 30 seconds, so I guess there are several factors that could affect this. For example, does anesthetic time only last while you're in the room? Does it affect different dinosaurs differently? Who knows? But on the other hand, the unpredictability of the tranquilizer dart does help in a game like Dino Crisis, where survival and suspense is key.